bringing that good music. Yahweh International. NewFoundation Production presents.
Just a little food for thought, baby. Just a little food for thought. Come on. Just a little food for thought, just a little food for thought.
Yeah. It's your boy Arquise. Welcome to another Arquise and the Food for Thought project here at IMG Studios, sponsored by Yahweh International and NewFoundation Productions. And actually today, that's actually what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be talking about our sponsor. This whole show is dedicated to the work that Yahweh International does and NewFoundation Productions and Robert and the whole team and board over there, and the dedication that they really allow me and others to do to spread that good word, that good gospel, to bring healing and hope to a lost generation, to a lost nation, to a lost world. And I think a lot of people are starting to kind of see like there's something going on here. These guys are really about doing God's work. You know, nowadays with a lot of these church-based or spiritual-based or these foundation-based companies, you know, especially here in Houston after Harvey, people are so suspect, you know, like, what are you really doing? Like, what is this really about? What do you really want? And, you know, of course, when people hear money's involved, you know, or they need money, you can be a little skeptical. But I think what they've done is amazing, because with me, identifying someone who is on the front line, who is seriously about reaching the lost. And I think that's where the partnership between Yahweh International, what they do. And I mean, I'm going to put up their website real quick, just so everybody knows. It's YahwehInternational.com. That's YahwehInternational.com. You know, YahwehInternational.com. And so if you just go to their website and just take a look at what they do and let me explain how what they do plays into people like me, okay, and what I do. And that's what partnership is all about. So first of all, if you don't know who I am, my name is Arquise. I am the host of this show. But before the show, you have to understand I am a member of two groups. I'm a member of a group called Christ-Side Soldiers out of California. Our ministry is 15 years old, and we are a frontline ministry. That means when we're in the Bay Area, that our outreach was centered towards juvenile halls, group homes, and homeless teens, and runaways, and pimps, and everything that you don't want your kids around. We focused on bringing healing and hope to a very underserved population of our country. You know, you can't just throw the thugs away. You can't just throw the gang members away. You can't throw the murderers away. You can't just throw away the people who do some of the most vile things. What you got to do is those are the people you got to get at the most, because of one simple thing. If you save a gang member, who's better to go back to gang members and spread the good word? You don't go to Germany speaking Japanese, do you? You know, dealing with gang members is dangerous. Let me just clarify this with you. Let me help everybody understand this work. So with being Ace, first Ace comes from the gang life. I come from foster care, street, just trying to survive, and just my single parent and in the system kind of life. I was fortunate not to be in gangs, but everything else other than that, if you understand what I'm saying. So, you know, just on my own personal life, just a broken family and just being tossed around all over the place from different people to different systems, whatever it may be, which is a common story among so much of our youth. But when it comes to gang members, let me explain something about Christ-Side Soldiers and the ministry that we do, and why Yahweh embraces what we do. Is we understand that they weren't born that way. They didn't just pop out, you know, with red and blue and rags and walking and dancing and all this other stuff, shooting and killing. That's not, you have to understand, when they're first born, they're born of just flesh and spirit, just with basic needs. Something happens in between in this journey for them to become gang members. Maybe their own family members were gang members. Maybe the community that they live in was entrenched with gangs. It's either join or else, and that happens. Maybe sometimes it's just random friends. There's a lot of reasons why kids get into gang safety. They want to be a part of a family, but whatever it is, for me and Ace, we understood that they weren't born like that. So we get to the essence of who they can be, who God wants them to be, his God's plan and purpose. So that spiritual warfare is very serious because now you are specifically behind enemy lines. Because if you look at our albums, go back and look at the original Christ-Side albums, it's very specific. It's what we're rapping about. Like people used to say, oh, Christ-Side, their message is too street. But you got to understand, we were in the Bay Area at the time. And back in them days, Richmond, East Palo Alto, Oakland, we had 3 cities in the top 5 with the top 5 highest murder rate at the time. And it was just out of control. So we knew we had to go hard on the streets. We weren't even in church first for 2 years. I don't even think we stepped in the church for 2 years because we were only doing street ministry with Victory. Well, Victory Outreach is kind of a church, but they're very specific towards that street life. And we was partnering with them. And then, just because I was already counseling, I had access to a lot of group homes, residential locked facilities, and juvenile hall. So we just did that. But the key thing is letting these thugs, these whatever you guys want to call them, gang members and, street hustlers and whatever, drug dealers, pimps and whatever, letting them know like, look, you were not born this way. This is not part of God's plan. Unfortunately, you just happen to be in a situation where you're in the middle of this spiritual warfare for your soul. It's God's plan, it's Satan's plan, and you lost your way. And Christ-Side soldiers, we're here to bring you back. We're going to go behind enemy lines, which is dangerous. And what does that mean, going behind enemy lines? Trust and believe. When you go into territories and areas and hoods and neighborhoods and all this stuff, barrios and places where people don't know you, you have to establish what you're there for. And you need certain type of partnerships with people. And luckily for me in my counseling, because I work with so many young people in probation and various things, that the word started kind of getting out, hey, if I needed to touch into a neighborhood, I would just reach to one of the kids. I knew him like, hey, yo, we're coming to the hood. Can you kind of vouch for us? Let us know, let people know our intent. So that was a blessing. The streets showed us love because they knew what we were all about. They knew Ace's hit. They knew Ace comes from the life. They knew I come from the system. Those two things is like everything for them. The respect was given. Like, no, you guys get it. You understand. So, behind enemy lines mean that our lives are in jeopardy. And trust and believe, there were so many times where our lives were in jeopardy. The Bay Area was a little bit easier. We could navigate that a little easier just because the gangs and stuff there it was more blocks. It wasn't really gangs per se. I can't say it wasn't Bloods and Crips like that. It's more block orientated, family orientated as far as neighborhoods and stuff, East, West, and East Oakland, West Oakland, just, stuff like that. The Bay was deep into the drug related type of thing. So it was easier to navigate, but it's still extremely dangerous because you got to understand something. Even though you're coming to do positive things, if you flip one of these guys into being not drug dealing and banging and whatever they're still doing, as much as people are clapping, there are some people not clapping because now they've lost an earner. They've lost somebody who was supposed to be making that money for them. And that comes with consequences. So, of course, threats, direct threats, phone call threats. There are a lot of things that people do to get at us and get at me. But here was the problem for them. A lot of these people that would threaten us would have kids in the system. And that's where the blessing comes. By me working, giving back, working in the system at some of the lock facilities and probation facilities, even if they wanted to get at me, it was a problem for them because they got people in the system. So they would need favors. They would need me to look after somebody or whatever it may be. So if I got a phone call, hey, this is so-and-so, yo, man, that's my dude, man. He's on, he's a soldier. I'm like, oh, I know he's a soldier. We'd have conversations and, direct threats. And I'd be like, look, you got family. And I just tell them, you got family in the system? Like, yeah, where they at? Blah, blah, blah. They tell me, what is that to you? And I tell them who I am, what I do. And then, I'm like, look, you need somebody to make sure that your family is safe in the system, no matter where they're at. And what I'm telling you is, by you threatening me, you are stopping me from helping your community, your hood, your family, and anybody else that's coming in the future, which they are coming based off of just knowing what's going on, to provide healing and hope to them. Is that what you want? When you really start talking to these leaders of these situations, they're very smart individuals. They're just about that money, but you have to give them something greater than the money they're making. And lots of times, if you just start talking about the family members who are going to come into the system, they know, they don't even deny it. They know what's up, that you need somebody that's going to be able to help them transition into the system and out. So being behind enemy lines is scary. Now, being behind enemy lines in LA was extremely difficult. The Bloods, Crips, MS-13, Mexican Mafia, and Lord knows who else was up on this mug. Way more complicated because we were from the Bay Area, and they see us as Latinos, like, even though we're not Hispanics, but we're from the North, and Ace looks Hispanic. It makes it even worse. So I remember the first time we went into a facility, Mid-Valley, before I started working there. We went into Mid-Valley Youth Center, and the first floor was sex offenders, second floor was gang members, third floor was dual diagnosed. The third floor was crazy. So I remember we had just went up and got on the mic and started talking to the young people like we always do. And one of the shot callers was like, "Hey, yo, what's up with them tats?" Ace had tats. Ace has a lot of tats, and from his past. And of course, that started causing a problem. They were about to call it off, because you could hear the mood changing, right? We thought it was going to be an issue. Look, gang members in LA ain't playing. If they feel an offense or something's not right, it's on and popping immediately. So Ace spoke on it, man. He said, "Look, I was behind enemy lines. I was serving." See, you got to always bring things back to God, man. You can't talk about things in a real world situation when it comes to this stuff. And he just said, "Look, I was behind enemy lines, serving the wrong master, doing the wrong things and not following God's plan, because you may not believe this or not, but even the worst people believe in God. It's just for whatever reasons, their spirit is being held hostage by their flesh. By the flesh is promising all these things, power, money, women. So the spirit doesn't really get opportunity to have a voice. So you got to give it an opportunity to have a voice and to listen. So in LA, we really had to be on it. Man, there were a few times I was scared. It's funny because one of the most powerful places we were at were Bam Crawford's church in Inglewood, California. When we first started there, I think our first thing, there were gang members in the church that day. She was doing an outreach, and they just straight up told us, like, "Look, there are known gang members in our congregation here and visitors. So we just want y'all to know that. Please dress appropriately." So when they say dress appropriately, and pretty much everyone would say that, even if we were working with Magic's Foundation in Inglewood, wearing colors is a problem. So one day, man, oh my goodness, Ace was on one. Ace can be a little stubborn sometime, and he had on some San Francisco colors. I was like, "Yo, Ace, you cannot wear this, dude. Are you crazy?" And this is the second time I had to talk to Ace about that, because the first time Tasha's like, "You can't wear that here." But this time he didn't have to worry about it because some dudes was trying to step to him. And but where we were and where they were, the gang members were, we were kind of back on a side stage and they couldn't get access, but you could see they were highly agitated and they were pointing to us. So that was a wake up call for Ace. I don't think he ever did that again, but there's various times, man, where you can just forget why you're doing it. We was at the Source Awards. Matter of fact, me and Ace were invited to the last Source Awards. We were the only Christian rap group that got invited to that event. And I was ecstatic, man. I was like, dude, are you serious? And that comes from the work we were doing in LA and in the Bay Area. And I'm not sure can't remember back that far if it was from Snoop's camp, somebody's camp, who we had interaction with, working with the young people. It probably was from that Magic Johnson thing we did, because a lot of rappers were there. But we was up in there, man, and that's the one where the big fight between Suge Knight, Dre, and them all popped off, and we were like right in the middle of that stuff, chairs flying. I remember how scared I was. I was telling Ace, I was like, man, and see, Ace had colors on. Matter of fact, that was before that last. Matter of fact, that was after. Man, I'm thinking about it, and it's like it was scary, man. Like I was like, God, just protect us in the midst of this craziness, man. You could feel Satan's presence up in there. It was bad. Snoop walked in with 15 tweets. We knew something was bad because everybody was rolling deep. Dre rolled deep. Snoop rolled deep. Everybody was rolling deep. You know, so we were just trying to figure out what was going on. And it was tense in the West Coast at the time with all this drama with Death Row and all that. We were in the midst of that craziness. Here's a Christian rap group that most people at the time hadn't really, the church and people like that hadn't really heard of us, but people on the front line had, you know, so, you know, Ace was getting a lot of, you know, love from people just because really to date, still Ace is probably one of the best Christian rappers of all time, even though he doesn't get the accolades. You know, he doesn't get the accolades because of the outreach we were doing. He wasn't about the fame and all that stuff. So, you know, from that, man, LA we just really opened up our eyes, man. I remember after I was like, Ace, we cannot take risk here, man. Too many misunderstandings about what we do. And all it takes is somebody to take out a gun and that's it. That's how serious it was. It was serious business back then. So LA was super dangerous. So, you know, we was up in a couple of spots there, man, you know, Mid Valley, Lincoln Child Center, just any place we could minister on the front line, going into Inglewood. Inglewood was really our spot. That was our favorite place. Compton was cool. Everywhere was cool. We loved LA. It just was dangerous in a different kind of way. So, you know, and a lot of haters in LA as well, man. Let me tell you, let me explain to people about ministry and how Yahweh plays into all of this. Yahweh supports people that don't talk about it, that be about it. You know, Yahweh International tries to find people that ain't trying to be, you know, focused on being popular and famous, and real soldiers on the front line making a difference. And I think they saw that in us. They saw that these guys deserve the support, you know, because we really didn't have a lot of support. Remember, churches wasn't showing us no love. Look, Bam Crawford's church showed us a lot of love. And the funny thing, when you look at churches, black churches were very resistant to any Christian rap at the time, but all the Hispanic churches wanted it. All, you know, they definitely wanted it. And other type of churches, non-denominational churches, where it's more mixed culture, but just straight black churches, nah, that took a minute. But Yahweh, you know, my interaction with them was very little back then. It was more so just knowing Robert, but Robert saw right out the gate, like, these dudes are about that life. They're really about getting out here, making a difference. So that was the first beginning of just my interaction with Robert, never knowing that what I was going to be doing with him and what he saw in us was going to play into this moment right now with Yahweh International and NewFoundation Productions. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but I want to play some music. I wanted you guys to hear some music from Robert and NewFoundation Productions. And this show is dedicated to them and the work they do. And let them know that I understand and appreciate everything. And what a blessing it has been to serve the community and be a part of your team. All right, it's your boy Arquise, and we're going to play some music from Robert Fairchild and NewFoundation Productions. Robert Fairchild Jr. in the building.
NewFoundation
Remix. Yeah. Yeah, with everything I've been through, you held me down. Yeah. You was looking for me, but I couldn't be found. But through it all, remember everything that you done for me. You the rock. You the rock. You the rock of my salvation. Yeah. Be faithful in everything you do, yeah. When you're on the front line, he relies on you, yeah. Faithfulness will erase those scars. Yeah, just trust in the Lord and break through the bars. Robert, how many people told you that you'll never make it? Yeah, but look at everything you done because you serve the Son. That's right. Everything the devil took, we're gonna take it right back. Yeah. And everything the devil took, we're gonna take it right back. Yeah. Be faithful in everything you do, yeah. When you're on the front line, he relies on you, yeah. Faithfulness will erase those scars. Yeah, just trust in the Lord and break for your faithfulness. Everything you done for me. You've been my help in time of need. Lord, I believe. Yeah, Lord, I believe. Let's go.
Be faithful in everything you do, when you're on the front line, he relies on you, faithfulness will erase those scars. Just trust in the Lord and break through the bars. Be faithful in everything you do, when you're on the front line, he relies on you, faithfulness will erase those scars. Just trust in the Lord and break through the bars.
Our Keys in the Food for Thought project, that was Robert Fairchild, NewFoundation Productions, Faithfulness, featuring your boy, Keys, on there. We do a lot of collaboration together. So it's been a blessing to be able to collaborate with him and create great music. But I want to continue to talk about what they do, man. Yahweh International, NewFoundation Production. This show is dedicated to them, man. They just been a blessing to me and others. So we were just talking about some of the things of why they partnered with Christ-Side Soldiers and myself. And one of it is just being a frontline ministry. Christ-Side, what do we do? What they do, it works so well together. Even now with the new Christ-Side HD, which stands for Houston Division, we're still all on the same page. Because let me give you an example of how this works. There's nothing worse than being unequipped and unprepared to deal with situations, especially with one of the things that I'm passionate about, which is dealing with the homeless. Even though we've always dealt with the young people, that's just our cornerstone. That's just what we try to focus on. They're the future. You can't get around dealing with the homeless and be a believer. You know, when you see them, if the Spirit of God dwells in you, you want to do something. But what is that? You know, how do you help the homeless? Do you just give them $1? Do you just, how is your approach? Or do you just don't look at them and roll your window up and hope they don't knock on your window? Let me help people explain how Yahweh International, myself, deals with this. First of all, in my car, in one of my cars, I have shoes, water. I have immediate care packages, is what I call it. That means if I come across a homeless person, I ask some very basic questions. First of all, I don't give them money. I never do that because I know how that money is used to fuel their addiction. So no. But what I will do is say, have you eaten today? I ask very basic questions. Have you eaten? And if they say no, and if I have a gift card, I give them that. So if Robert and them send me money or gift cards, I use that. Now, does that mean they can't turn around and sell the gift card? Yeah, but most of the time, and I'm real specific on the type of homeless that I try to help. And I'm talking about all the way homeless. Let me give you an example. Last week, there was this guy who was holding up a sign. And this is a problem across the board when you're dealing with homeless, because some of these people are not homeless. They're just lazy. They can work or whatever it may be, or they have housing or whatever. You can't, look, if you have housing, you're not homeless. You might be struggling and times are hard, but there's a big difference. So this guy, just something wasn't sitting right with me, but he was always out there every day, rain, sleet, or snow. He was just, there's no snow in Texas. Well, actually last year. But, I would ask him the same thing, man. Try not to judge his situation. But I started seeing this guy around, like in the malls, like in situations where I'm like, right? Just different. I'm like, okay, maybe he's doing better. And that's how I took it. And maybe that's the way I should take it, is that maybe that he's coming out, he either came out of his situation or he's doing better. And maybe that's the approach I need to take and not be in my head so much. But I felt a certain kind of way about it because I was already suspect about him for a couple of reasons. He was a little bit too clean, a little bit too put together. And my spirit was, I always trust my discernment, but I just had to do what I had to do. And then I saw him in the movie theater last week, watching the Avengers, popcorn, everything. First of all, movies are expensive, and trust and believe, homeless people ain't got time for that. They're the money they receive or they get really is to survive. They're trying to get shelter. They're trying to eat. You ain't got time to be spending $15 on the Avengers, 20. Well, if you buy the popcorn package, you're gonna be $20 to $30 deep, if not more, when you go to the movie theater. So when I saw the guy, it just threw me back a little bit. But what I pray for is that I'm hoping that it is a confirmation that God did what he needed to do, and this dude is no longer in that situation. That's what I kind of just said. You know what, Eric? You gotta let that go. Whatever you're thinking, think the opposite. So that's kind of how I did. I just said, you know what? God did that. Thank you, Jesus, for bringing that man out of that situation, and he is no longer struggling the way he was. But when it comes to the type of front line that we're talking about for real, like with Yahweh and myself, is in the back of the car, I have to be ready at all times. It could be raining. The situation can be immediate. And so that tends to be having a couple pair of shoes, having food, water, vouchers, whatever it may be. And you can always tell when they're really in need. They look like they've been sleeping under a bridge. They have an extremely strong smell. You know real homeless when you see it. There's no if, no ands or buts about it. There is the brand new homeless, and then there's the homeless that's been on the streets for their whole entire life for various reasons. And they all have needs, but I look for a couple of different type of homeless. Youth homeless automatically, because I know if I don't get them off them streets quickly, that they will turn into the long-term homeless. So I try to counsel them a little bit more and have more conversation along with whatever I give them, because I need to understand how they got there, what were the circumstances, and lead them in the right direction towards services. The other way is the complete transient homeless lifestyle type of people who, for whatever reasons, are afraid to go in to shelters. They look a mess, like they've been on the street their whole entire life. They're wearing the same clothes they've been wearing every day. And so whenever I see those, I really try to look for those more so. If I see their shoes are taped together, roped together, various ways they try to keep their clothes together, I'm like, what do you need today? And I have a serious conversation with them. If I give you something today, I don't want to see you selling it, because they do that. Like I said, I want to see these shoes on. You know me, I'm around the area. I do not want to see you. I better see these shoes on you. I don't want to see you back in these shoes again. So we have serious conversations about me helping them. And I'm brutally like, yo, I will never give you another thing if I even think or see that you are not using what I give you to help your situation. So that's how kind of Yahweh International and myself work. They send a blessing down here to Houston, and I use that here at the radio station for the sponsorship. But lots of times I'll use that same, really it's supposed to offset what I'm doing here at the studio, because it takes time and I block out hours and do all this work. But I kind of take the blessing and double it. I take it and I use it in the ministry towards the homeless and whatever else I'm doing as well. So it allows me to get out free CDs. They send me their CDs and I'll bless somebody with that. We just got to be about that music. So when you're thinking like, why should I give to Yahweh International? Know and understand that blessing does come back to the front line. This is not just some, man, we're just going to say we have a ministry and just call it Yahweh International. And let's it's not a talk about type of thing. If you don't believe it, just look me up. Look up Art Keys and look at what I've been doing in music, what I've been doing overseas, internationally. Look up my work resume. If you want to know anything on a serious tip, look up Eric Arquise. Go on LinkedIn, look up my resume, and I'll tell you everything you need to know as far as where I've been working, what I've been doing. So it's serious business, the stuff that we do here with Yahweh and NewFoundation Production. So I just want people to understand that it is a blessing to give freely and know that your giving is helping and making a difference. It is. It absolutely is doing that. So I just want to thank them, and we're going to continue to work together and continue to build through the radio show. We're going to be doing videos real soon as well, live broadcasting, everything. We're going to keep building and changing this world because the world's in a bad place right now. And we need more frontline soldiers. We need more people to understand what needs to get done. So it's your boy, Keith, and the Food for Thought Project. We're going to play something off of the Armageddon album, which is sponsored by NewFoundation Productions. It's your boy, Save Savage, Speak Life. Let's do it.
What's up? It's your boy, the Safe Savage. People always talking about what they ain't got, what they can't do. Speak life to your situation and watch it come to pass. Speak life. Speak life. Speak life. Speak life. You speak death, dog, and I speak life. Representing J. Christ till the day I flatline. Speak life. 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 You speak death, dog, and I speak life. Representing J. Christ till the day I flatline. Speak life. 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 I'm not here to rock shows, I'm here to save souls. But don't get me wrong, we gon' slap this song. Hey, 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 come on, let's shabbat. Hey, 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 come on, let's shabbat. That's the joy of the Lord flowing through my bones. It's on, devil, bring it on, devil. He called it young because you're strong, you look disheveled, devil. Maybe you ain't on the same level as my God, devil. I'm a rebel with a cause, speaking life up in your hood. Blessings backed up like the 4 and 5 and 5. Jesus alive, man. He rearranged my life, man. Took me out the gutter, man. Represent the son, man. We hogs for the man. We hooked on God. Give it all to the man. Is that so hard? It's me, the S-A-V-E-D, S-A-V-A-G-A-G-E. I'm repping Christ until I D-I-E. Predestined for me. You speak death, dog, and I speak life. Representing J. Christ till the day I flatline. Speak life, 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 speak life. You speak death, dog, and I speak life. Representing J. Christ till the day I flatline. Speak life, 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 speak life. We've all lost somebody on the block. I had 5 nines pointed at my head rock. The devil wish he got me back then. I'm gon' win, I do sin, I'm not perfect, man. Everything I went through must have been in God's plan. Cause as if it was up to me, I don't know where I stand. My brothers do dirt, I'ma represent the one that brought me from the dirt. I understand why brothers slang that came. This legit life ain't no joke, man. This dope game, this cocaine got us all hope in. For better, it's a sad if the devil won't let it. Why we gang bang? No love at home. We gotta fight like Joe so we can heal. Our minds ain't right, that's why we kill for a color. We killing each other. If the founder found redemption, why won't the young ones listen? If you feel like you can't make it, keep it real and don't you fake it. Give it to God and He will take it. You know them shackles, He will break it. You speak death, dog, and I speak life. Representing J. Christ till the day I flatline. Speak life, 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 speak life. You speak death, dog, and I speak life. Representing J. Christ till the day I flatline. Speak life, 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 speak life.
Yo, speak life into your situation, man. I love that song. Save Savage. He is an amazing actor, director now. He does movies. His ministry is completely changed now. He's no longer doing the Christian rap thing. The film stuff is his calling. It's his passion, first of all. He went to school for it. So while he was on the front line with us, man, it was a blessing. And now, he's on TV doing stuff. I mean, God is good, man. You stay faithful. He's going to bless you, and he's reaping the benefits of that right now. So what I want everybody to take from this show is that when you're giving, you need to be confident that the money you're giving is doing something. It's active. You have too many scam artists out here and too many situations to where you're giving, you have no idea what's going on. How many times have you given money to like these big national recognized foundations, and then they come back and be like, we don't know where $2.5 million is at. They get audited, and then the money is, no one knows where it's at or how it's being used. I'm like, what? After Katrina? Oh, I learned a lot about that. That was an amazing, eye-opening experience. And of course, here at Harvey, You know, you hear all the horror stories of all the fake contractors, and look, the devil is going to take advantage of all situations. So you got to know that when you're blessing any ministry, any foundation, any group, any situation you're in, that you can look back and be like, yes, them my people's right there. And here's why. Here's why I know that money's being activated. You know, the fact that you're hearing my voice right now is activation of your support. It's supported based radio show here at IMG Studios, sponsored by Yahweh International. NewFoundation Production allows us to have the voice to bring this change. You need to go back and listen to the shows and listen to what I'm talking about. Get this food for thought. You know, I'm very opinionated, but the thing about it is, it's food for thought. I don't necessarily need you to change because I'm saying it. I need you to take it in as food, digest it, and see how and marinate on it. You know, you need to have different perspectives. I don't always agree with the left. I don't always agree with the right, but I always agree with God. It's just his plan. It just is what it is. There's what I want to do personally, and then there's what he wants me to do. You know, look, the walk is not easy. You're constantly trying to do your thing and trying to avoid God's thing sometimes, because the responsibility of what he wants you to do can be difficult. You have to give up things. You can't do things the way you want to do it. And then when you are disobedient, he goes, oh, okay, you don't need me right now. I'm going to sit over here and watch how this works out. I'm going to watch you do you and watch how this works out. And it always doesn't work out the way you think. It always may start good and end bad, or end bad and start good based off if you follow his plan. Sometimes the Satan gets in there, man. The devil's real, man. You better believe that you have great ideas and a blessing, but you think the devil's just going to sit back and let you have that? Nah, it's not what he's going to do. He's going to try to prove a point. He's going to try to prove a point by throwing things your way to throw you off. First of all, he's going to tempt your flesh. He's going to show God, like, look how easy it was for me to distract this pastor. Look how easy it was for me to distract this business owner. Look how easy it was to distract this entrepreneur. Look how easy it was to distract this lawyer, this teacher. He has tons of tricks and he knows exactly how to get at you and try to make a point like, look, they're not worthy of the blessings you're giving them. They're not even using it to glorify you or magnify you in no way, shape, or form. Look, all they care about the rides, the power, the money, the bling, the 24s, the girls. That's all these people care about. The shopping sprees. And you were there in the beginning, and now where they got you on the back of the bus on the bench. That's how the devil works. He just throws you to the wolves and tries to prove a point. But that's why you have to understand spiritual warfare. Yahweh International, man, you guys really help me when it comes to getting this out to the people. Spiritual warfare is real. When you don't believe it is, that's why you continue to fail and fall, because you completely underestimate Satan's plan. You don't get it. You're passive about it. You know, you're like, God is good, and God is good. But this spiritual warfare is serious business. And America right now is in the trenches of it. It's all you versus me, them versus us. It's no unity in it. It's the United States of hypocrisy and everything else you can think of. And it's all part of Satan's plan. He's trying to make a point. He's trying to make a clear point. He packages things in ways to where believers have to support people that are completely working against God's plan. You know, let me just say it like this. Good people do bad things and bad people do good things. And that's what makes things complicated, because there are these moments where whatever you believe in can contradict God's plan, and you might not like it, but it's just the reality of what it is. So let me give you an example. I had a boss, like I talked about this before. He was a straight up mean, nasty, racist kind of dude. He was a hot mess, but for some reason he was passionate about the kids. He didn't care what color they were. He just loved young people and wanted to help them. But when it came to adults, it was a different thing. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, these kids is black, they're Hispanic. What's the deal? And he never really could put it into words, he just, but I felt he was a bad person doing good things. You know what I'm saying? And you guys can relate that to today's situation. There are good people out there that do bad things. Teachers, doctors, lawyers, everybody's going to get tested in this spiritual warfare. It's important that you don't underestimate Satan's plan and what he has in store for you. Matter of fact, you should be prepared. Look, you know your weaknesses. You know what sets you off. This is not new to you. I know what my weaknesses are. So I have to prepare myself daily. Every time I step out this house, like, okay, Lord, help me in these areas. Keep me away from these situations and these type of people. Don't bring nobody into my life. Shelter me from ridiculousness and drama because I am weak in these areas. I have to do that daily. And when I'm in a situation where I may be confronted with something that I have an issue with, I immediately have to leave. I'm like, I can't be a part of this. I can't be a part of what you're doing, or I can't be a part of you, and you can't be in my life. It's that simple. But when you don't have that mindset, that's how you end up in situations that you could have easily not been in. You underestimated Satan's plan to expose you. So you have to take that stuff seriously. You have to really have forethought. You have to have planning. You have to use your discernment. You have to armor up. You got to be prayed up, and you got to understand that spiritual warfare is all about one thing, your soul. And if you are passive about that, if you're a civilian versus a soldier, and I'm talking about in the spiritual sense, then you're going to be in serious trouble, because everybody knows in real warfare, like the real war, the civilians are the first ones to get hit. They're the first ones who have all the suffering. And by the time the military shows up, a lot of damage and a lot of people have lost their lives. So with that being said, what I would like to do now is actually play I've got an email from somebody that was asking about the music in the beginning of the song. In earlier shows, there is no music. It's just the intro and all that. But I added a song called Food for Thought from the Arquise and Food for Thought album, which is the precursor to the show. So what I'd like to do is actually play this song and let you guys hear it. It's called Arquise and the Food for Thought Project. The song is actually called Food for Thought. It's your boy, Holla Back.
Y'all want to give a special round of applause to Dorothy, Edward and Jones. What's up, man? Come on, y'all, give them a round of applause. Having us here tonight. Right about now, I want y'all to understand this Arquise thing. You know what I'm saying? My music is so versatile, and I just want you to sit back and relax and experience this. This next track we doing is called Food for Thought. Hey, sound man, I like the effect on that, but switch it back, because I'm about to start my verse. You know what I'm saying? I see all my folks out there. What's up, man? I see you. All right, push the effects back.
Yeah, what's up? Found myself in the dark black alley, pleading for my life. How can another black man have so much hate, anger, and strife? Now as he took my belongings and smiled all in my face, I said, how can you do this, man, and disgrace our black race? Check it out. Immediately he stopped and looked at his skin and said, this may be where it started, but this is where it is. Check it. Black is not a color, it's a state of mind. And this is surely something that he needed to find. A little food, just a little food for thought. 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 He was a man, a player, and a sex fiend. But the bad thing about it, this fool was only 13. Not even thinking twice before he tried to be that man. He was sleeping with all of the girls like he's in some rock band. And now he's a father with 2 or 3 kids on the way, baby. Kids having babies. What more need I say? With no type of guidance and respect for his own life. By the age of 18, this fool had 2 more kids and why did he not fair, baby? Just a little bit of fun. Sugar bag, sugar bag. Give me some food, yeah. Just a little bit of fun. You need to get some food. You need to get rich. Need some food, my baby.
It's your boy Arquise. Yeah, I wish there was people in the audience right now clapping like that for me. It's your boy Arquise and the Food for Thought Project. That was the song Food for Thought from the Arquise Food for Thought Project album. That is actually what started my career. I was not doing Christian rap at the time. I was with a very famous hip hop jazz group called Arquise and the Food for Thought Project, which featured some of the greatest young Bay Area artists, which came out of that group, which is amazing, is J.R. Rodham, platinum, multi-platinum producing artist. He worked with Rihanna, she's 50, and everybody else. Thomas Tomcat, the drummer, he's played with everybody in the universe, and a lot of other noted musicians who have been playing with various well-known artists as well. That group was amazing. Like, we were killing it. It was a blessing to be a part of that group. And also Pete Escovedo played on it. Juan Escovedo played on it. And it was really a life-changing event for me to go from what I was doing musically to live music, which is what I'm going to be doing again. I'm going back to the beginning and stepping away from standard hip hop and going back to hip hop jazz. That's the goal. I need to be more challenged. Hip hop right now is in a bad state, and I need to really feel good about what I'm hearing in music right now. And I haven't felt that way in a long time. So I'm going back to hip hop jazz, and it's going to be an amazing adventure. So I just shared that with everybody. It is not on any of the Yahweh projects, but I wanted you guys to hear this song. But the guy in the email, which is amazing, because you hear it in the beginning and you're like, hey, what is that? So that's the full song. So I love that song. The whole Food for Thought project is amazing. Even today, I still get a lot of response from overseas, especially in like France, Europe, because you got to understand something. Jazz is big. It's bigger overseas than it is here. So I get a lot of positive influence when you come into Japan. France or places like that, Australia. And it's funny because, I wasn't thinking about it, but the reality is people love jazz music across the world. It really is one of the more amazing art forms because of the freedom that you get by playing jazz. There are no rules. You just, whatever you feel, you get it. With hip hop jazz, it's almost the same thing. It's a little bit more structured, but the reality is it challenges all people to be better. If you're a rapper, how do you, the chords and the horns and everything challenges you to be a better rapper, be more creative. So I love it, man. It's been a blessing. So this show has been all about Yahweh. Well, for the most part, it's been about Yahweh International and NewFoundation Production. This is dedicated to them. I played one of their songs earlier off of the single from Robert Fairchild. I also played one of the songs from Armageddon. And then I played a Food for Thought song just to let you guys hear the intro in entirety. But the show as a whole is just really to bring people full circle and to understand that your support of Yahweh International, NewFoundation Production, is making a difference. It allows us to have good, focused street ministry. Allows us to go into these facilities and reach our young people. It allows us to go into some of the places that support homeless adults and children. It's just a great partnership between myself and Yahweh International and NewFoundation Production. So if you're somebody who's hearing this broadcast, you're hearing this radio show, look up YahwehInternational.com, look up NewFoundation Production, look up Robert Fairchild, and just read about what the board is doing with Robert and I don't know everybody in particular. So if I miss your name, please don't take that in any kind of way. I know that you guys all are on the same page with bringing this great music and great message. So anybody supporting that, know that God appreciate you so much by supporting great ministries and great outreach. All right. So go to their website and look at everything they do on YahwehInternational.com and just see how they're interacting with your community. And then for really good music, they got a lot of stuff that they've sponsored, various artists. Go to the NewFoundation Productions. Let me just go on their web. Let me look real quick and take a little quick pick. So go to NewFoundation Productions. That's productions with an S.com. And man, they've got merchandise, videos, musician resources. You can see the YouTube stuff, Song of the Month, Word of the Day. They got a photo gallery. I mean, they got a lot of stuff that they're doing, you know, and really developing a good, strong following, and support everything they're doing, man. These guys are really blessing people and allowing people's and elevating people's ministry. Some people, you know, were just starting out, and Yahweh stepped in and said, hey, we believe in what you're doing, and how can we be a part of that? So just support that, you know, just allowing ministries to grow. So I just thank Yahweh International, NewFoundation Productions, being a part of the IMG family, supporting our ministry, sponsoring us, and we will continue to bring good music, a good food for thought show, good outreach, which is the most important thing, help bringing healing hope to the young people, homeless, and people within facilities, and just anywhere God sends us, we're going to go. All right. It's your boy Keys. We out.